Welcome back to Best Practices for 3D Modeling. We're going to continue on with the last refinement feature, and that is work features. Work features are part of the refinements. Work features, unlike sketched features and placed features, are virtual objects. Work features are helper objects. They consist of primarily 4 specific objects. We have work points, we have work axes, we have work planes, and we also have the UCS. We will be taking a look at the first 3. The UCS we will be looking at another time, in another video. However, the primary work features in mechanical design when it comes to 3D modeling will be plane, point, and axes. So with that said, let's take a look. Okay, welcome back to Inventor. Work features are located in the 3D Modeling tab, as we can see right here, and as we had stated, the 4 primary, or the 4 specific work features within Inventor are planes, axes, points, and the UCS. The UCS, we will, at this point in time, we will be not going over it. We will look at it a little bit later in advanced work feature styles in another video. The features, however, that I am going to be looking at are primarily these 3, and the most important of which is the plane. If you take a look on the panel, each one of the work features actually has a pull down. If you click on the pull down, it gives you a syllabus and presets in order to create specific styles of planes. Here we have a different preset per plane, so everything from offset from a plane, midway point between 2 planes, tangentials, and then normal to a point. In the axes, we have the same thing. So every edge on a 3D object can be considered as a work axis. 2 points on any object is also a work axis, 2 points in space. We can have a work axis going through the center of an elliptical or cylindrical object, so on and so forth. And then last but not least, with the points, we have 2 varying styles. We have a single work point, which is generated by a physical point on a surface, and we also have a grounded point, which is done by inputs in the X, Y, and Z direction. If we select a vertex, if we select an intersection point between 3 planes or 3 axes, we are able to create a point. We can also create a point when we intersect 2 lines. So let us take a look at what we have when it comes to work features. So with work features, I'll start with the simpler one, which is the point. So if I select a vertex, for example, an endpoint, which is a cardinal point, that produces a work point. If I hit enter and then I select the midpoint of that edge, that is also a cardinal point, and that is also a work point. I'm going to select another point, say down here, and that is a 3rd work point. So work points are used as holders or placement features. The main benefits of points in it provides an anchor. It also provides the mechanism to create axes. So if I select the work axis, if I select point 1 and I select point 2, it will create a work axis. Same thing here. If I select, say, point 1 again, and then I select point 2, it creates the axis going through those points. Okay. I do not also have to have specific points, work points, to create an axis. If I click on an edge, that edge automatically converts to an axis. If I select on 2 points, as always, it will also consist of 2 axes. The second of the work points is the grounded work point. The grounded work point commences by selecting a starting point, so I will select, say, that axis. And as we do that, it gives me the triad. The triad allows me then to either select one of the three arrows. So if I select the red arrow, that is associated with the x-axis. The blue arrow is associated to the z-axis, and the green arrow is associated to the y-axis. If I select, say, the green arrow, and I take a look in the mini toolbar, the green arrow, the x-axis is highlighted, which means that I'm able to type in a certain value. So let's say I want to type in 2.5. So 2.5 will give me the displacement. In this case, I'll make it a little bit larger. I'll make it 10.5. So at 10.5, it's creating a copy of the initiating triad, and then from there I can simply click on the plus sign, which will create a point at that particular point. So here I'm going to click on the red line, or the red arrow, and then I'm going to indicate, say, 15, but I'm going to have it on the negative side. So bring it on the negative side. Once again, I'm going to apply, and then I have a next work point. Just to show that that points are being created, I'm just going to click OK, just to start with. I'm just going to go to my tools, and I'm going to change the color of my screen just so that we can see that there are points being created. So I'm going to change the color to high contrast for a second, click Apply, and as you can see, these 2 points have been created off of that. The benefit of doing that is now that I actually have the ability to sketch, because now I can pick, say, 3 points in space. If I can pick 3 points in space, here is the work plane, point 1, point 2, and point 3. I now have a work plane. On that work plane, I can also sketch on that work plane. Okay? Finish. Okay? I'm just going to keep it at high contrast, and that work plane now brings us to segue into our next topic, which is the work planes themselves. Okay, I'm going to take, and for the time being, I'm just going to delete all of these. Okay, so work planes. Work planes are extremely powerful and very, very useful. How do we place work planes? Let's take, for example, I want a work plane which is right down the center. I can do one of the following things. I can simply click on the work plane, and I have mid between 2 planes. So if I select plane 1 and then I select plane 2, there is the work plane. Okay? I don't need to go directly to the syllabus. I can also simply click on work planes and do the exact same thing. Select the first, select the second, and it does the same thing. If I want to create a central work plane which is not as large as the selection of the 2 planes, I can also click on plane, run my cursor on the edge that is associated with the plane that I want, left click on the midpoint, and then left click on the edge. So that produces the exact same thing. Now, what does a work plane do? It allows me to sketch. So if I select on that work plane, okay, I can hit F7 and I can see where that work plane is. By doing it that way, I can now input, say, a circle. I'll give it an actual size of 16. I'm going to finish my sketch, and we can see where that sketch is actually located. This allows me then to create, say, a trough, which is midway, and I can extend it as required. So I'll just extend this to, say, 17. So 17 millimeters. Click OK, and now I have that. What is the benefit of this? Well, if I were to increase the size of the sketch from its original of 50 to 100, 100, and finish my sketch, that remains always central. So I do not have to worry about ensuring that I have a setup. I can do this. I can do a similar operation, a little less effective, using sketched features. One of the main benefits of the work plane is that I can place features any place, and it allows me to create much more complex geometry. Case in point, I'm going to create another work plane. This work plane, however, is known as a pivoter. I'm going to select that edge, and then I'm going to select, say, that surface. What this does is that with that I create an angular displacement off of that edge. Okay, so I'm going to make it 45 degrees. That work plane, I'm going to create a sketch on it. As always, I'm going to project that because that will allow me to create an anchor. I'm going to create a circle that is attached to that line. I will make that 16. I will make sure that that is actually attached, so if I try moving it, it will ride on that edge. That's fine. And that means that all I need to do is make one more dimensional addition. I will make that 15 also. Let's finish our sketch. Now, what exactly does this allow me to do? What this allows me to do is that if I click on extrusion, I'm going to select the circle, and I'm going to say extend to next. So it is going to go and find the next set of surfaces. Click apply. As we have seen in the past, if I click the plus sign here in the history tree with our extension and go right mouse button over that, I can share my sketch, which means then I can select that same circle, and I'll keep the 10, click OK, and now I have this. Now, we could do similar situations of this sort with sketched features. However, in a sketch feature, we would have to find a way of actually moving this particular feature from that surface inwards, which in a sense would make it very, very difficult. Also, the ability for the sketch plane, for the work plane to pivot, gives it additional flexibility. For example, if I double click on that, and then I want to change it from 45 to, say, 55 degrees. I'm going to click the check mark, OK, and now I have that reaction. Okay, or as always, once again, maybe this time I want to change it to, say, 30 degrees, and I get that. Okay, so again, it allows quite a bit more flexibility than simply creating sketches. Let's continue forward. We also have the ability to create work planes which are offset from a starting point. So if I select that and then undo, let's try this again. I'm going to highlight that surface, left click, drag, and then I'm going to indicate a total of 20. Okay, so I have a total of 20. That work plane is exactly the location that I want. I'm going to create a new sketch on it, and I'm going to create just a circle. I'll do a random circle like that. I will select the circle and say go to next. Click OK. Now, if I change where that work plane is located, for example, if I drag it all the way here to, say, 82, that feature will also be attached, simply because it starts from here and it's looking for its next surface. The work plane also lends itself to the mirroring process. For example, here on our patterns, we have the mirror command. I want to mirror this completely off to the other side. So rather than selecting individual features, I'm going to select the entire solid. So I'm going to select the entire solid. I'm going to click on the mirror plane. The mirror plane is the work plane. I'm going to click OK, and now I have that. Now, because the mirror plane is geared to the work plane, I can move it in, and as I do that, that central connection also adjusts accordingly. Okay. So, this is an introduction to the work plane. So, this has been a basic introduction into work features. We will be looking at the more advanced functions of the work features in upcoming videos. The purpose of this video was to expose you to how the work features work primarily with the work plane. As we get further and further into the application, the work planes will be used to a much more higher extent to create much more complex geometry. With that said, I'm going to leave you with that, and we will pick this up in the next video as we take a look at the more advanced features of the work features. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.